Lamine Yamal is 16 years old. He plays for Barcelona, and half the world already thinks he's going to be the next Messi. But here's the thing. Nobody's ever successfully replaced Messi. Not Neymar, not Griezmann, not Dembélé, not anyone. And yet, Barcelona is betting everything on a teenager who hasn't even finished high school. This isn't just about football talent. This is about something much darker, the psychology of replacing a god. And it's going to destroy him or make him legendary. Here's where it gets interesting. Lamine Yamal started playing professionally at 15. 15! Most players are still in youth academies worried about exams and girls. Yamal was playing in La Liga against grown men. He was creating chances, scoring goals, doing things that shouldn't be physically possible for someone that young. Then Barcelona looked at his highlight reel and made a decision. They decided he was the future. They decided he was the heir. They put a contract in front of him that locked him into Barcelona until he was 25, with one of the biggest wages a teenager has ever earned. In theory, this is a dream opportunity, a young player with immense talent getting the perfect platform. In practice, Barcelona just strapped an anchor to his ankle and called it a gift. You know the type. The promising young player who everyone says will be better than the last one. There's always one, and there's always a moment where everyone realizes the pressure was too much. Look at what happened to the last Barcelona prospects. Ousmane Dembélé was supposed to replace Luis Suarez. He had immense talent. He arrived with massive expectations. Then he got injured. Then he got frustrated. Then he became a footnote in Barcelona's decline. Philippe Coutinho was supposed to be the midfielder who controlled everything. He cost Barcelona $160 million. He's now playing for Aston Villa. Competent, but forgotten. These weren't bad players. They were good players who broke under the weight of being the next big thing. Lamine Yamal is technically better than both of them at the same age. That's the problem, because better talent plus higher expectations equals exponentially more pressure. But here's what actually matters. Messi didn't replace anyone. Messi arrived at Barcelona as a kid with growth hormone deficiency. Nobody expected him to be a god. He just gradually became one. He had time, he had space, he had patience. He developed without the crushing weight of, "You are the heir to the throne." Lamine Yamal doesn't have that. The moment he signed his contract, Barcelona decided his story. They decided he was Messi 2.0. They decided his ceiling was GOAT status. They decided his failure would be anything less than winning the Ballon d'Or. That's not pressure, that's psychological warfare. In practice, this means Lamine Yamal is already failing in the minds of Barcelona fans. Not because he's bad, because he's not Messi. He'll never be Messi. Nobody will ever be Messi. But Barcelona convinced an entire fan base that he would be. And now they're watching a teenager struggle under impossible expectations. The interesting part is that Yamal knows this. He's 16, and he's already aware that half of Barcelona wants him to be a god, and half wants him to fail so they can say, "I told you so." He's playing in a stadium where the ghost of the greatest player ever is literally watching from the stands. Messi never had to deal with that. Messi became the thing. He wasn't trying to replace it. Here's the psychological truth that nobody talks about. When you're told you're going to be better than someone legendary, either you reject the comparison and try to forge your own path, which means disappointing everyone who believed in you, or you accept it and you spend your entire career trying to reach an impossible standard that you'll never match because it's not possible to match. Yamal chose acceptance. He wears the number that Messi wore. He plays in the position Messi played. Barcelona literally set up the comparison for him. Now he has to live with it. Some people think Yamal can actually replace Messi. They point to his technical skill, his pace, his intelligence on the ball. They say he's already doing things Messi couldn't do at 16. And they're right. Yamal is probably more complete at 16 than Messi was. But completeness isn't the point. The point is that Yamal will spend the next 15 years being measured against a player who was literally perfect in his prime. That's not a comparison, that's an execution. The real question isn't whether Lamine Yamal will be great. He probably will be, he has the talent. The real question is whether being compared to Messi every single day of his career will let him be great in his own way, or whether it'll trap him in the shadow of someone who can't be replaced. Because here's what Barcelona got wrong. They thought they were signing the next Messi, but what they actually signed was a teenager who'll spend his entire career failing to be something impossible. The best-case scenario for Lamine Yamal is that he becomes one of the 5 best players in the world. That would be an incredible career, but in Barcelona, that's a disappointment. In Barcelona, that's a wasted potential. So here's my question for you, and I genuinely want to know what you think. Can any young player with real talent ever escape the comparison to a legend, or does exceptional expectation always destroy the thing it was meant to celebrate? Because if Yamal fails, people will blame him. If he succeeds but isn't Messi, people will blame him. The only way he wins is by being perfect, and nobody's perfect. If you want to understand the psychology of pressure, why talented young players break under expectation, and how comparisons to legends actually sabotage careers, subscribe. We break down the human side of sports, not just the statistics.